video after taking a week off for Thanksgiving. It was a nice little break, nice little respite situation, a nice time to assess if we like reading anymore.
Yeah.
Which, this month has been kind of a struggle, not gonna lie, and I'm not really sure why.
Yeah,
It's just
so many things that I don't even know what the cause is.
Yeah, it's like a combination, if you will. It's getting dark at 4 o'clock.
If the sun even rises.
Yeah. We've also had a weird freezing fog situation this week. So it's been foggy literally all day long. So it just looks like night. All day.
All day long.
All day. So.
And as a homeschooled girly, I can confirm that I don't want to get out of bed.
The motivation is low.
Plummeting. But,
we did manage to read 10 books between the two of us, so that's something, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'll just jump right in with the first book I read this month, which I do not have because I got it from the library digitally, and that was Britney Spears' memoir, The Woman in Me. And I'm not really even sure why I read this book. I was just very intrigued and kind of nosy, to be honest.
Who reads a memoir and because they're not nosy?
Yeah, that's true.
You want to know. That's the whole
But
point.
it was a very quick read. It was easy to read because the entire book is written as if she is just having a conversation with someone. So it's not this eloquent, beautiful, lyrical writing. It's just a conversation piece, basically. So in that aspect, it's a really quick read. I finished it still more confused than I was before. So I'm not really sure whose camp I'm in. Am I in Brittany's camp? Am I in her parents' camp? No. Do I think she's a little unhinged still? Yes. I don't know. Read it and make a decision for yourself, you know?
Okay, my first book was The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward, and this book is unhinged. I don't even know how I'm supposed to describe this.
If one book described the word unhinged,
yeah,
that would be it.
If you were Fever Dream.
Show me one book to describe unhinged.
Yeah. Do I recommend this at this time of year? No. If you're in a slump, I still don't know if this would help because while this is a thriller, there is so much information constantly that is not giving you bits and pieces as in to solve a mystery. It's giving you bits and pieces that make you feel do I feel sorry for this person? Am I angry with this person? I don't even know how to describe this book. It's just insane. If you've seen the movie Split, you would probably like this.
If you like the movie.
It's a psychological thriller for sure. It was crazy.
Okay, the next book I read was Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. This is the second book in the Shepherd King duology or series, I guess. I'm not really sure if it's a duology or a series. I don't know if this is going to continue now that I think about it. But I can't really give away too much about this or what it's about because it's a second book. But basically this follows a young girl who, when she was a child, she experienced a fever that a lot of people in this land can experience, and if they have this fever, it gives them certain magical powers if they survive it, and so they're viewed as cursed, and so they're supposed to be killed as soon as they contract the sickness, but her family hid her, and so she survived, and she's been hiding the fact that she is a cursed person. And then basically she's just on a journey to help other people in the land cure the land of this curse. that has been brought to them, and it has a lot to do with a magical system that involves this specific deck of cards. So they have to like go collecting this deck of cards and like unite them in order to like break the curse. But I really enjoyed this series. I think it's a perfect one to read during winter because the vibes, I mean, are just kind of like what the cover of this book looks like. It's like very much set in kind of a barren, wintry forest land. Yeah. So anyways, I really enjoyed this book. Are we giving stars?
I honestly don't even know what to rate that because it felt like a psychotic memoir.
I would say, maybe I should say this. This is an adult fantasy, so there is, I think, one adult scene in this book. So that's just something to be aware of. It was easy to pass over, and it's not prevalent throughout the book, but there is at least one scene in this book because it is an adult fantasy. So that's just something to think about. As far as if we were giving it stars, I would say I would give this book and the first book in the series 4 stars.
Okay, my next book was Curious Tides, and I believe this was a Barnes & Noble book club pick.
Yeah.
This is the exclusive edition. I don't...
Who's the author?
I'm not going to try to pronounce that.
Pascal.
Lascelles?
That's fun.
I
Is
don't...
it a debut?
I believe so. It's a...
I don't think I've ever heard of that author.
Anyways, it seems like I didn't comprehend these books, as in like remember things about them. I remember, I just don't know how to explain my feelings because I was pretty disappointed with this one. I feel like it was so long. And
Like unnecessarily. Maybe.
yes, I don't feel like it needed to be 540 pages for this little YA fantasy book that I think is a series. I don't even really know. I feel like there's going to be a second book. In which case, like, why is this so long? It just, if I could describe the book with a word, I would say slow. The first few chapters, I was like, this is the It Girl Dark Academia book. There's some Latin. Everything has to do with what phase of the moon
Cool.
you are. Like, if you were born on a full moon, you have these special powers, yada yada. And so we have like one special girl that thinks she's this one phase of a moon, but she's actually an eclipse, and her mom hid it, and why, and what does that mean for her? What is the government trying to do with the eclipse people, because they're like known to be the most powerful, and if they lash out, they drain their magic from them. So many things. It takes place at a magical school. It just felt like it could have been really unique, but then there were so many tropes that just kind of made it like everything else.
Would have, could have, should
But
have.
too long. So
In a book.
yeah, that was kind of a rant. The book is, I mean, look at the font. It is just teeny tiny. It is so long. I'm honestly just sad because
Disappointed.
I thought this book was literally
And
made
like for
me.
Emmalynn to buy a hardback book, like to commit to buying a hardback book, she had to have had pretty high hopes.
I was in Barnes & Noble, I kid you not, for an hour trying to decide if I should buy this book. I read Goodreads reviews, I walked around, I put it down, I picked it up, yada yada. And I bought it because it had good reviews, but I didn't give it a good review.
Okay. The next book I don't have because I read it digitally, and that is the first book in the Natural series, which is called The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I basically wanted to read this because I was just wanting something kind of like easy to read, something that like would pique my interest right off the bat. And so I have watched enough episodes of Criminal Minds to know what that show is about, and I really like that show. And so this is kind of sold as Criminal Minds but with teenagers. So I was like, I think I might like that. So this follows a group of teenagers. I think there's 5 of them. And specifically the main girl named Cassie, who is living with her family after her mom mysteriously disappeared and then found out she didn't disappear. She was murdered. And they never solved her murder. It had been like 5 years. So she's just living with her family. And she gets approached by this other teenage boy about this opportunity to join the Naturals program, which is a group of kids who display like natural talents for different like crime solving methods. So Cassie is a natural profiler. There's another boy who's a natural profiler. There's a girl who has the ability to read body language and determine if someone's telling the truth or not. There's someone else who can read people's emotions just from their body language. And then there's another girl who's like a walking encyclopedia with just statistics and facts and all that kind of stuff. So Cassie is brought to live in this house with these other kids who possess these natural abilities, and they're supposed to like train with FBI agents to develop their and so forth. So in the first book she does that, but she is in the book there's a serial killer on the loose, and so her and the other naturals are kind of like pulled into trying to solve it themselves, even though they are supposed to stay away from like active cases. They're supposed to work on cold cases predominantly. And so it just kind of follows like her development of her natural gift and also these other teenagers as well. So I found it to be pretty interesting. It wasn't like earth-shattering, you know, like it wasn't a 5-star read, but I did enjoy it. And it did what I wanted it to do, which was just be like a quick, easy, fast-paced read. So I would say it was probably like a 3.5. Just go ahead and say I read the second book too, because I just finished that today. Following the same group of teenagers, different case to solve. I actually think I enjoyed this one more. I found the case that they were trying to solve to just be more interesting, and the plot was more flushed out, I feel like. So I'd probably say this one was like 3.75.
Whoa.
I know. Look out.
Okay, the next book I read, I talk about these just because...
Oh, let me just say, the Natural series does have a lot of violence and death, but it's very clean as far as language goes. There's no sexual scenes. So if it would be a true YA book in my opinion, and except, I mean, there are like murders and violence taking place, but other than that, there's not anything inappropriate, I would say.
Okay, I like to talk about books I read for school on here just in case anyone wants to read classics, and I can tell you what ones not to read.
So far.
So far, 2 for 2, I'm not a fan. I am reading Little Women for school right now, which is such a treat. I'm so happy about that. But this is The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, and I feel like I mainly didn't like this because I never read Tom Sawyer, and so it felt, I don't know, it felt really weird to read this, which takes place right after Tom Sawyer, and I've only seen like the movie, so I have no connection to this story at all. I am from the South, and so I can translate their language because this is how my family talks. But when you're reading it for like 200 300 something pages, it does get a little old.
Yeah. It's almost like you have to
hard.
read it out loud to make it
Yeah,
make
I had
sense.
to like read it in my head in their voice to translate because things are spelt wrong. Yada yada. I didn't really care. And that's that. Was it, if I was a 6th grade boy, I probably would think this is pretty cool, but I'm not. I'm a 12th grade girl. So, look into what you like before you read that.
Yeah.
The audience.
Okay. Another book I picked up that was a really quick read. This book we were both sent by HarperCollins, and that is The Bachelorette Party, which I thought would be like super cringy. Just because, I don't know. It says 6 women, 1 body, The Bachelorette Party. And I was like, okay. But it says it's set in New Orleans, which I was like, okay.
Was there a vampire?
There was no vampire.
Darn.
This is contemporary, so it's
Okay.
it's set in the present. It says live music, endless drinks, brightly colored attractions, the perfect place for a party. The bride-to-be, the best friend, the cousin, the mother-in-law, the sister, and the groom's friend. The Bachelorette begins on a Friday night. All 6 women are excited for a chance to escape their everyday lives, but then friendly rivalries turn vicious and a game of truth or dare turns deadly. By the end of the weekend, one of them will be dead. So it's literally like multiple POVs of each woman attending the Bachelorette party. You know that a murder is going to happen, and so it's like a back and forth kind of timeline of just the weekend that they go to New Orleans to have this Bachelorette party, and you literally don't know. Like, you kind of feel like everyone is suspicious at some point, but the ending was like, it ends, and then there's, I think, an epilogue. Let me see. Yes. Wait, no, that's a different book. Yeah. Anyways, there's like an ending, and then there's like another chapter after you think it's just completely done. And then you're like, what? What? So that was something I did not see coming. So I actually really enjoyed this. I think I read this in like 24 hours or
2 days.
maybe a day and a half or something. So if you're looking for a book to get you out of a reading slump, I think this would be a good one to pick up. I'd probably say it's like a 3.5.
Okay.
I'm on the 3.5 bandwagon in this video.
My next book and last book is Christmas Baggage by Deborah M. Hathaway. And I saw Abigail's Cup of Tea talk about this book. I believe she read it last year. What I didn't know is that it's on Kindle Unlimited until I found out this year. Then I went to look at it. There's 7 books in this series. Okay, they're all by different authors, but they're all like a clean romance Christmas series. And I absolutely love this one. I feel like I'm borderline in a slump because I read this book so fast. We follow our main girl whose name is Claire Frost, of course, right? And
Cue the cheesy Christmas names.
she's recently, of course, been dumped by her. I don't know if they were just dating or if it was her fiance. Anyways, her parents are like not really a part of her life at all. She's an only child. So she's always spent Christmas with her extended family because her parents always like go on trips together for Christmas. And one year her best friend is going to London to visit her aunt, and she's like, just come with me. I'm not going to leave you here to spend Christmas alone. So on her way there, when she finally arrives in London, she has a horrible experience with someone at the airport. Gets you. And then, she goes to the flat with her friend, sees her, and then someone comes to the flat. Who is it?
I don't know.
The guy in the airport. Who is he related to? Her best friend.
Charlie.
This was like such a fun book because you're just playing tourist with Claire, and they talk about like all the most famous sites and restaurants in London. They go to like the Harry Potter exhibit, Claire's like a huge Star Wars fan and Harry Potter fan. So it's just, I feel like it was made for fangirls of America that just want to go to all these famous locations and we're too broke to do it. So we read about it instead. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, this is a must. But the authors have been running like 99-cent deals pretty frequently on the digital version as well. So you should go follow their Instagram and then you can get it for cheap. And let me know what you think. I just started one of the other books in a series. You don't have to read them in a certain order. And I really like it as well.
Well, speaking of Kindle Unlimited.
Speaking of Christmas. Speaking of
Christmas,
romance. Speaking of enemies to lovers. Speaking of traveling.
That leads me to my next book, A Cross Country Christmas by my shoddy, Courtney Walsh. I will read anything. I've only read one other book by her. 2 now. But I will forever read anything she writes. Everything she writes is perfection. It has great humor, great wit, sarcasm, banter, romance, clean romance. What more could you ask for? So this book follows our main girl, Lauren, who is not a fan of Christmas. So she's the grumpy in the Grumpy Sunshine.
Honestly, just to interrupt, I feel like there's more grumpy girls than grumpy
Yes,
guys.
for sure.
Like, I don't get why it's a thing for the girls to be sunshine.
grudges.
Yeah, I don't understand.
And that's kind of what this book is about. So she had kind of a rough childhood. She had a broken family. She doesn't have fond memories of Christmas. So she is currently living in California. Her family lives in the Midwest. And she hasn't been home for Christmas in like 5 years or so. But this year her brother, which is her only sibling and like really the only family she cares about having any relationship with, his wife is about to have her first baby. So she's like, okay, I'm gonna suck it up and go home. He keeps procrastinating, buying her tickets. Oh, she won't go on a plane. So she's like convinced she's gonna take a train from California to Illinois. She waits too long. Anyways, it ends up to where she has no alternative but to drive. And then her brother goes behind her back and arranges for her to carpool with his childhood best friend, whose name I cannot remember. Will. So he arranges for her to drive cross country with Will to get back home for Christmas because Will is going to see his family in Illinois for Christmas too. But Lauren has a major grudge against Will because she was like head over heels in love with him growing up and he did not reciprocate her feelings, and she's never forgotten this rejection that she felt. And so she's very reluctant to ride with him, but she's like, okay, this is the only way I can get home. So they start out on this journey, and Lauren is like Miss, type A, plans everything out. And Will is basically like, oh, wherever the road takes us, like hotel reservations, what are those? And so they end up taking a lot of detours and doing a lot of things that aren't necessarily on the speediest route. And Lauren can't figure out why he keeps like taking all these random detours and making the trip take longer than it's supposed to. And it's like, he doesn't care about getting there fast and she just wants the trip to be over with. Well, she finds out why he's doing that, and I won't say because it would be a spoiler, but she has to learn to forgive him, learn to like not have this tainted view of all family relationships because she had a bad family growing up and a bad like family dynamics in her childhood. And so she's like missing that, and she wants that in her life, but she doesn't know how to have it because her family is just not that way. So it's a journey for everyone involved, and it was really sweet and endearing and just a really heartwarming experience for me.
I'm so glad.
So I highly recommend this. I would say this is a 5-star.
5-star.
5-star read. 5-story star. 5-star story. And that concludes everything we read in November.
Somehow we managed to make this take way longer.
Yeah.
I thought it would.
We have a natural talent. We're a
Yeah.
natural. Like, you know, the book I read. And he's just staring outside like he's depressed that it's raining.
Charlie? Charlie? Is this hard for you?
Darkness. Anyways, we hope if nothing else, maybe you got a couple of Christmas reads to add to your TBR. And we hope this reading month was more successful for you than it was for us. We hope your reading experience was more enjoyable.
And if you didn't read more, we hope you're at least at peace about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not.
Yeah, Emmelynn's a little angry.
Yeah.
But
it's okay.
we're about to be on Christmas break. It's going to be a great time. We're going to
So
get
much
lots of reading done.
For sure.
For sure. Anyways, let us know what your favorite book you read in November was. And we'll see you in our next video. Bye-bye.